find. But can I love a nobleman I have not seen since childhood? True, that boy was sweet and hung upon my every word. Yet grown to manhood, this is the Richard who fought at the battles that claimed my father, uncle, and my husband, and now fervently seeks my hand in marriage. Fickle is fate. Yet such is expected of me. Family alliances are nothing but stepping stones to power. Nevertheless, there is much to commend this arrangement. Richard knows well our marriage will enhance his name and wealth. My Neville estates and pedigree will strengthen his position. And while I once was Princess of Wales, I shall content myself with Duchess of Gloucester, and proudly bear him sons and heirs. Pray God that in these shifting times this may yet prove to be a match. Maiden.
Ah, noble Richard. Marriage to Lady Anne has come to be his making. Between her estates and the favour of his king, his rise to power blazes like a comet in the sky. Admiral of England, Chief Steward of Lancaster, Lieutenant General. Such authorities might deserve a lesson, but these rewards are just, for I, and Duke of England, owe him my crown. Without Richard's steadfast heart, my life would be forfeit to Warwick's treachery. No one can love another, as we have come to do. Would that he knew my true motives. Better to loose his fighting spirit on the irksome Scots than lose him to bloody conflict with France. But scheming is a virtue, the king should keep their heads. Henry's now for talking such. It's family ties that persecute this realm. How Richard rules the north, the ambitions of the Percys and Nevilles and the Stanleys are kept in check. Nothing good to the us.
Battle of Wakefield.
Yeah.
Rich. Oh my goodness. The Duke of York, Salisbury and Rutland's heads were mounted over Middlegate Bower in York.
Bless the Lord, save my son, lest his destiny be unfulfilled. Ireton is not risen, for fatal services, but on the souls of his father and brother, so cruelly slain. Hate bring the son such dreadful news. Then, in the same words, warned him that an army fought for revenge to send on her to seek us out. I have fired his courage to their plan. Hope, life in hiding. As soon he will, through your good grace, be safe from harm. Speak, young ladies, and me. He has the faith to do. Stir the warm blood and
One's names
to
is
the
in the
light
down
of
to him
his
again.
Yeah.
grow with courage to be a true and godly warrior and redeem the fortunes of our house.
Oh, yeah. Working out.
Dave, you keep going just like the opposite.
We may not see eye to eye, but by granting me Warwick and England and care for the young man, the king has publicly confirmed me in his trust. And yet, it will not be easy. For Richard is the soul of his late father, Albert. For brave and chivalrous man,
basically have the family tree from Edward III. On down to Edward IV, and then to Richard, who was killed in the Battle of Bosworth by Henry Tudor, and he would become Henry VII. He would then marry Edward's second daughter, Elizabeth. Over here, Elizabeth of York, daughter of Edward, and Elizabeth Woodville. She would have brothers Edward V and Richard, and then she would be married to Henry VIII, Henry VII, and bringing the two families back together, and then they would have the son Henry VIII, and it stops there.
But Richard did no fear, for by the hand of Master Armorer Vincent to Europe, the strength of Italian steel shall keep him safe.
Well, this is Richard III on the left, you can tell by the crooked back.
Before my lord shall see nothing but a valiant prince without no blemish, as fit to God's creation.
And a tapestry on the Wars of the Roses.
And avenge his father's death.
All brothers and cousins fighting for the throne.
Sugared words indeed. Once
And a thing on the princes in the tower. Were they murdered? Documents found recently say that they weren't. It says Bosworth is one of the most important battles in English history and often said to mark the end of the Middle Ages. That's because Richard III was the last warrior king. After that, kings never went to battle themselves. And obviously the end of the Plantagenet dynasty.
Yeah.
Oh, they have a cafe here. We tried to go to the church at 10, but it's Sunday and they're having service. And they kicked us out. I almost made it to the tomb. They said we could come back at noon. The King's Suite. I think this is just a meeting room. You can see where we're at. There's the church. Down below, through the glass there, is the entrance to the visiting center for Richard III.
In 1984, a mock trial of Richard III was filmed to consider if Richard was guilty of the murder of his nephews.
Have you reached a verdict on which you are all agreed?
Yes.
Do you find the defendant guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
You may think that the controversy about him will continue as long as interest in our island history continues. And long may that continue. Thank you very much.
Well, there's the church. They have a map here playing. What it looked like back in his time.
Overthrew the natural order to seize power. First written around 30 years after Richard's death, Sir Thomas More explained his royal tyranny. The Richard story also resonated with the ancient archetype of the evil eye of the folk story of babes and good. It still appears in the country with characters like Shrek's Lord Farquaad. Richard's physical shape connected him with another ancient archetype.
And they have a layout of the village.
All these images and ideals were distilled by William Shakespeare in his play, written about 1591.
We're going to try and get down to the castle as well. And we'll do that right after we're done here while we wait to get into the church.
The most important of these is the 1955 Lawrence Olivier.
You can watch the excavation of his body on YouTube.
To all their subjects are better person than myself. I make my name to dream.
And this is just ode to them, the archaeologists and scientists who dug him up.
Well, tribes right through Europe when they started digging tar, because Richard III got things named after him in this city.
Different people, like from America and things, have come over to take photos and that. So it's bringing a lot of trade down this way.
There are rumors that it's thrown in the river, but perhaps not. Perhaps it will be found here, underneath this parking lot in the center of Leicester.
Rarely have conclusions of academic research been so eagerly awaited. We established that we would wish to conduct DNA analysis, comparing any DNA which might be extracted from the remains to that of the living babies.
Could we get a sample of DNA to work with? For extreme please tell me that we could.
The skeleton is that of an individual, aged between the late 70s and late 30s.
Yeah, they just buried him in the ground. No coffin, no shroud. And it was too short for him. Yeah, they just plopped him in a hole. armor, or a depiction of it. I think that's much taller. Richard was not very tall. So here is a copy of the bones.
Tells you the wounds.
Yeah. 5 wounds on the front of the skull. 3 wounds on the back of the skull. 1 on the ribs, 1 on the pelvis. Yeah, the documentary I watched said they were poking in his butt after they strung him on the horse to bring him into town. And that it wasn't a battle wound.
Possibly a dagger thrust into Richard's cheek. A number of wounds were found on the face. However, Richard's skull was still intact. It would have remained recognisable for public displays and proof the last Plantagenet king was dead. Here you can see a cut to the right side of Richard's chin. This was caused by a bladed weapon, likely to be a knife or a dagger. A sharp bladed weapon has cut across the surface of Richard's scalp, shaving off a top layer of bone. As you can see, it has left a small crater at the left rear of the skull. Close examination of the wound reveals striations or marks left on the skull by the blade. Richard would have worn full body armour into battle, so his helmet must have come off at some point for this wound to be made. A keyhole injury was found on the crown of Richard's skull. This was inflicted by a sharp, thin weapon, possibly a dagger, and was struck at a slight angle, splitting the skull open. This wound would have caused some internal injury and bleeding. However, the micro-CT scan shows there are still flaps of bone on the inner side of the skull, meaning the weapon didn't penetrate to a significant depth. A sword or a halberd with a long spike thrust through the silence of the brain. The left side of the skull may have 10 to 12 centimeters, and also the bottom side. The weapon was forced through almost vertically, so Richard's head was probably
Project 3 years ago. The quest to find a king in a hardware. Everyone thought that I was mad. It's not the easiest pitch in the world to look for a king under a council car park.
A team of archaeologists and scientists from the University of Leicester has led the search for Richard III, and I now invite them to present their evidence. The next slide I'm going to
Yeah, you can watch all this on YouTube.
A team of scientists has examined bones found in the West.
Suspect might be the long lost remains of the original pieces fit for the self-discovery.
Well, I thought it was right through to when they started the car park.
This is the actual grave set.
It is, yes.
Oh, so the statue isn't sitting on top of where the grave site was.
Out front there?
Yeah.
No, that originally used to be in what we call Castle Gardens, which is over about a quarter of a mile in that direction.
Oh.
It was moved back here when King Richard was discovered. The grave is that bit there.
Yeah.
So in that depression you should be able to see these little yellow marker pegs.
Mm-hmm.
There's one at the top and one at the bottom, and then there's a light projection that shows the outline of the skeleton on the ground. So you've got one leg that way, one leg that way, the arm goes up there, and then his skull is up in this corner.
Wow.
And the light projection shows the actual position that the skeleton was found in. The pegs are the archaeologists' context markers, so when they take the skeleton out of the ground they put a marker at the top and the bottom, but they're really left in place to show how short the grave is.
Right.
It's about 4 inches too short for Richard's body, which is why his head is in this funny position at the top. They didn't make the hole bigger, they just fitted him into the hole that they'd already dug.
Incredible.
So everything about the actual burial indicates it was done in the bush and without any sort of ceremony or dignity. You may also want to just take some footage of this, these little tiles that are in this top corner here. These are tiles from the floor of the church, so they will date back to around the time when the monastery was being built, so mid to late 1200s, and they were the only few that were found in both the archaeology digs. Again, they are indicating how shallow the grave is, but we know
It says Richard III, King of England, killed at Bosworth Field in this county, 22nd August 1485, buried in the Church of the Grey Friars in this parish. We have a little courtyard out here to sit, probably to have something to eat from the cafe. Yep, there's a cafe. Well, that's it for now. I'll get some more here for you in just a bit. Thanks.
The difficulty was that there wasn't enough of the monastery in that bit that was of any real interest to make that part worth preserving under the visitor centre, and obviously the whole centre of this is Richard, so that's why this bit was kept.
St. Martin's Church. Let's go see if we can find where King Richard III was interred there.
Wait for me, I want to push. Yeah.
And there he is. Final resting spot, Richard III, 1452 to 1485. It's a closed space, so we can't go in, but I can film from the sides.
Check, we can open it. 2 seconds.
Thank you. With me lie. Bosworth Field. Site of the battle between King Richard III and Henry Tudor. They have cabins, you can stay here. Oh, wouldn't that be spooky? Hear ghosts in the middle of the night out here still battling. Let's take a look at them real quick. Boar, eagle, and dragon. Cottages. That would be cool. Might have to look into that sometime. Next time we come. Take a pause. Be back soon. Well, they built quite the facility here.
Get our tickets.
This is the Battle of Bosworth Trail. Welcome to the start. Along your walk, you will be able to stop and discover more about the story of the Battle of Bosworth, fought on the 22nd of August, 1485. Please go see the archway. It says Richard, the last Plantagenet King of England, was slain here the 22nd August 1485. King Richard's stone. The stone was originally erected near Shenton in 1974, as this was thought to be the site of Sandifer, where Richard III is said to have died during the battle. In 2009, after several years of careful study and extensive field work, the site of the battle was discovered in the area around Mill Lane and the Fen Lane Roman Road. The stone has been moved here to allow better and safer public access to it and allow the field at Shenton to be returned to agricultural use. lost our sunshine. The Battle of Bosworth Trail. All the number of posts as you walk around the 1.5 miles of the circular trail. Doesn't really give you anything about where the armies are located and where they battled by the looks of it. You just get to walk around the field. Hattie says it's up this way. Well, let's at least take a look at the turns on this. Hello, Patty. So you're saying the battle was up here? Ah. Hence the Plantagenet flag and the Tudor flag. Well, this is what we come to England for. Walk the hills, get out in the country, go for nice walks. And I just got hit with rain. Well, out here somewhere, Richard was looking for Henry Tudor and spotted him, and on their horses, cavalry charged, and what they didn't know is Henry had some fighters that knew the Swiss way of countering horse attacks, where they knelt down with their pikes, and that pretty much was that. Henry Tudor, Earl of Richmond, Lord Stanley. So the Stanley army, Richard thought was going to fight with him, and when they came to the battle, they chose not to, and that was pretty much the end of Richard III's reign. The Stanley's men, as he charged, actually intercepted and killed them before he could even get to Henry. Yeah, it's starting to really rain. Well, at least there's not a whole lot here to see. It's just a field. Now the battle in the landscape. The battle. Rebel army wins the day. But once again, they don't show exactly where it happened. It is really raining. Where's my jacket, woman? Holy moly. Did you bring your umbrella with you? Oh, I am going to be soaked to the bone.
Well, let's just wait it out, right? Come join us.
I'll come and shelter with you.
Hello. Oh my God.
Yeah.
You happen to have a pint in the bag.
This is where you grab the car keys and hand them to me because I'm faster than you. and I will leave you behind.
I think we just laid it out. Smells good though.
All right, sweet.
We're going for it?
Yeah. All right, the battle, the landscape. Our rebel army wins the day. And we're getting some terrible weather, so we're gonna make this quick. So apparently they found relics here, so they know the battle was here, but they don't know much more than that. This is the tree we should have been under. So there's a lower section and an upper section. We're in the upper. They don't have a lot of information. Because the sign at first thought it was towards Shenton, which is a village towards where my camera is pointing now. And then they discovered that it wasn't, that it was actually here. Bosworth. They got some trails you can walk and go through the woods. But the field itself is just this lower field and then this upper portion. Did you read anything that makes anything more clear? So they found, oh yeah, so they found archers' weapons. Yeah. Well, they're pretty sure this is where the battle took place.
Yeah,
Well, we've had such a beautiful day, but the wind has really kicked up. Well, we're back to the visitor center here. learn anything more, but if not, thank you for watching, and we will see you next time. Bye, folks. You got a thing here at the field, the burial of Richard III. Contemporary writers report that Richard was hastily buried at the Greyfriars Church on the 25th of August, 1485. In the 17th century, it was widely believed that Richard's bones had been dug up and thrown into the river Soar during the 16th century. However, there was also evidence to suggest that his body remained buried on the site of the friary, which was demolished during Henry VIII's dissolution of the monasteries in the mid-16th century. In August 2012, a project to find Richard III's burial site, led by Philippa Langley and John Ashton Hill of the Richard III Society, commissioned an archaeological team at the University of Leicester to dig the Greyfriars site. Excavation discovered the skeleton of Richard III in a crude and small grave cut, confirming reports that Richard's body was hastily buried in the church choir. And then they have his new actual reburial. But that's how they found him. Head all cocked up because the hole was not long enough and no feet. Something happened with the feet over the years. And then just basically showing another thing of the scars of battle, which we got at the visitor center. And then on this side we have Henry VII's burial, which, in contrast to Richard's meager burial, Henry and his wife Elizabeth were buried with full pomp and ceremony in an exquisitely decorated purpose-built chapel at Westminster Abbey. So here's a depiction of Richard's burial in the church, and then a write-up on the hasty burial. Sorry about the wind. So after further discussion inside with one of the knowledgeable people, they say it actually is the upper of this field here, and then a lot of it is down here in this lower section. But it's owned by private land, owned by a farmer, and he doesn't let them go out there. But they found a lot more of artifacts down here. But this whole area was a battlefield. There were skirmishes taken on in different places to the left and down here and all the way back up above where we were at, where the sundial was, and the flags are up there. So it was basically this whole field from up there by the flags coming down